In this video lesson, I'll explain the concept of velocity and average velocity and how it can be used for better control or forecasting of the duration of the agile projects. Now, let us say we have planned sprint one. Let us assume that okay, we have planned a sprint, that is the sprint one is planned. And we say, let us say, all the features in the sprint put together, let us say it is 10 story points. This has a story point of 5. This has a story of 1, 1, 1. So put together, we have 10 story points. That is what is planned. So planned velocity is 10 story points. So we plan 10 story points. Now, at the end of the sprint, let us say we could complete all the 10. Then we say the velocity, achieved velocity is 10. Now, how much will we plan for the subsequent sprint? We can confidently plan 10 for the subsequent sprint because the achieved story points or the velocity is 10. So the next sprint, we can confidently plan for 10 because that is the team's capability. Now, at the end of sprint 2, when we did the review, we planned 10 and we achieved only 9 story point. So the velocity is equal to 9. Now the question is, how much should we plan for the sprint 3? If you're coming from a predictive project management mindset, then we will be tempted to say, okay, here we planned 10 and accomplished only 9. So there is a backlog of 1. So in the next sprint, we should plan for 11. That is the typical mindset of a predictive project management. Whereas in Agile, we say that this is the team's capability. So next sprint, we should plan only 9 story point because your velocity is only 9. So if the productivity, everything, if it has gone up, what will happen? They would have accomplished this 9 story point maybe much earlier than the sprint completion date. And they may end up doing maybe 2 story points extra within the same sprint. So my planned velocity is 9 and achieved can become 11. So likewise, the productivity of the team will improve sprint after sprint. But once we have a series of sprints, in this scenario, we have first sprint, we accomplished 10, second sprint 9, third sprint 11. So we can always take an average of this, that is 10 plus 9 plus 11 divided by 3. So in this case, it is 30 by 3. So my average velocity is 10. So once we know the average velocity, uh, and if that is almost equal to the assumption which we made, like each sprint we'll do approximately 10 story point, and if our average velocity is matching that number, then that is a very positive sign. So the balance story point divided by the average velocity, the balance story point to be accomplished divided by the average velocity will give us the number of sprints. So that means balance story point to be accomplished divided by average velocity will give us the number of sprints required. Further sprints required to complete the release or a product or whatever. So I explained the concept of uh, planned velocity, achieved velocity, and how do we always go by while doing the planning or the sprint, we always go by the velocity of the previous sprint. And over a period of time, these velocities will stabilize at some point. And that stabilization, if it happens, uh, then okay, our process becomes very stable, our forecasting becomes very stable. So if average velocity is equal to the assumed velocity, the going is fine. I hope you understood the basic difference. In a predictive project management, we always go by achieved velocity. If there is a deficiency in the achieved velocity, we try to compensate it in the planning of the subsequent sprint. Here, it is not so. If they always we go by the achieved story point, which is the velocity of the previous sprint, that much only we will plan for the subsequent sprint. We may plan some nice to do things. So if the planned story points are completed well ahead, then the team can try those uh, nice to do things. So even if the planned is 9, actually it can become more than 9. That's how the productivity is improved in agile over a period of through multiple sprints. Thank you.